All right, so Parawing is blowing up. I've recently just visited Hood River and Hawaii, and seeing the trend of it taking off is incredible. We're back here in Sydney, and today we're going to run through what you need to get into this sport, and especially if you already ride Code, what foils to choose and where to start. So today with me, I've got Gav, Hydrofoil Gav. He's a specialist at Parawinging, and he's going to give us his top tips for getting into it and how to not stuff up.
So before we get started, I thought I'd just quickly run down exactly what is Parawinging and why I got into it. So I've been downwind supping for probably about 2 years now. Absolutely love it. It's addicted, as I imagine all you guys are. But what I was missing was that my schedule meant that sometimes I'd miss the lifts, I'd miss the runs, or I just didn't have that time, you know, that 3-hour window to be able to do a proper run. So I was searching for something where I could self-position and then still get that same feeling. And that's exactly where the Parawing came in for me. And that's why I've jumped at it and absolutely loving it right now. You're interested in Parawinging, and the big question I get all the time is like, which one should I get? And to be honest with you, like, they're all good now. Like the latest ones that come out, that generation, they're all gonna get you up in water. They're all gonna have good deep power, and that's what you're looking for in the early stages. In terms of sizes, I always recommend about 4 meter. The reason for that is that if you go bigger, yeah, you can have more power, more grunt, but it's just harder to hold down, to handle, and to pack away, obviously. So somewhere around that 4 meter mark, I think is bang on. If you go smaller than that, then you start having to like deal with real wind states and sea states, and it becomes a little bit hectic. So 4 meter is that golden size. Okay, so in terms of foils, it's like any discipline. When you first learn it, you want to start big. You don't have to go crazy, but in terms of board, you want that sort of mid-length. I'm sure that most people will have a downwind board of some sort. That's what I learnt on, and it's definitely durable, but that extra length and the really skinny boards can actually be a hindrance. So if you can get hold of a mid-length, the board we've got here, the Scyther, this is just perfect. It's around 7.0, that 20 inches wide. That's kind of what you're after. In terms of volume, you want it obviously to float under your body weight, so don't go for a sinker to begin with. Foil-wise, well look, I started initially on the R series with Code because it was naturally what I wanted to do for downwinding, but actually S series tends to be more suited to Parawinging. They're more forgiving, they still have the speed and the glide, but you know what, they've got the turnability, and that is really what I'm after when I'm Parawinging. You want to be able to turn and carve and rip up the wave as you're going downwind. So especially in the early stages, the S series to go to, and I'd say something around that 1300 is spot on. That's definitely what I use when the winds are light. It's still my go-to when I want to get out on the water and perhaps the wind strength isn't quite there. Okay, so in terms of mast, look, I've experimented with like lots of different sizes. I went down to 75 for a little bit, all the way up to the 85, and I found the sweet spot is in the middle, that 80 centimeter mast. The reason for that is because when you're going upwind, if it's too short, you'll find that the wingtips will breach constantly, and you'll be managing that, perhaps even crashing and falling. And then longer than that, well, it's just inefficient. So that 80 gives you the prime upwind angles without breaching tips the whole time, but it still gives you that performance we're looking for in the downwind section. So in terms of fuse, again, the beginning stages are after stability. So I recommend a medium fuse. You're not doing so much pumping in the early stages, but you still want a little bit of leverage to get out of the water. So medium fuse. And in terms of pairing the stabilizers, well, initially I went for the AR. My favorite at the moment is the 150 AR. I've really enjoyed that in the early stages. And I kind of jump between that, and if I want to go a little bit faster, I want to chase those bumps, then I'll go down to the 120R. And that combo really pairs nicely with the S. Okay, so you bought your first Parawing, you're dying to get on the water, but my first bit of advice is to fly it on the beach. Get some hours on the sand, get used to it, get to know how it deploys, how to get rid of it, but most importantly, how to actually control it. And if you spend a few hours doing this on the beach before you go out on the water, it will pay dividends, I promise you. Okay, so we're flying the Parawing on the beach at the moment. It's flying really nice, so we've got full control. So let's just talk through some of the steering if you've never used a wing or indeed a kite before. So the way in which we depower it is by holding off the front lines You can see by doing this, the power wing then depowers, but you can see it will fall if I don't do anything else. So it's a combination of depowering and finding that sweet spot. So as soon as I'm fully depowered, there's no control in terms of steering. So let's get it back up into the air again. So I'm gonna repeat that. So I'm just gonna depower, and you can see it will start to fall down. Let's power it back up again, and now I have control. And then all it is me twisting my wrist. So if you're looking closely to my wrist, the way in which I'm controlling it is by powering up and then depowering. That's the first axis. To turn it, all we're doing is just twisting almost the end of the bar. But the key point to this is that if you're depowered, it won't work. So you need to be a little bit sheeted in. What I mean by that is sheeting backwards for it to be able to turn left and right. Super top tip in the light stuff is if the power wing is going to one side and you're trying to get it to come back and it's not doing it, a little tweak on the sidelines will make it come around quite happily. So I do that quite a lot in the water, particularly in the lighter stuff. It really does help. So this is a prime example. I want it to go over to the right. There's not quite enough power for it to happen. I'll just give it a little tweak and it just comes over quite nicely. So that's a top tip that I certainly use when the wind's really light. So when the wing's in this sort of 12 o'clock above my head, this is kind of like the neutral position. In kiting, they call it the zenith, whatever, it's above my head. And this is where I have the most amount of control. So I kind of want to have this up here when I'm sorting anything out, when I'm trying to get the board collected or up onto my board itself. The moment I actually want to start moving, then I start to bring it down into this sort of 11 o'clock position, or on the other side, obviously, sort of this 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock position. If I go too low, it's going to touch the water and it's all going to be a game over. Too high, and you're not going to have the power. So you want to find this sort of happy medium. It's about 45 degrees. That's kind of the sweet spot of being able to get up onto the foil, generate enough power without touching the water and getting into trouble. Okay, a few more top tips before you get started on your first session. So the first one, I'd say invest in a good stash belt. This allows you to pack it away, get out onto the water, and then deploy it once you're out there, as opposed to just holding it and then walking out. It will just be an absolute nightmare. Once you're out on the water, deploy the wing, what you're looking for is nice powered up conditions. Believe it or not, the windier it is, up until a certain point, the easier this becomes. So we're looking at that sweet spot between 15 and 20 knots. Anything less than that, you're really gonna struggle to get up, and the power wing will be difficult to fly. Anything more than that, well, that comes with sea state, and again, that becomes quite challenging. We're looking for flat water. If you've got like a lake or a bay, that's the prime learning location. You don't want to be going out in big breaking surf in those initial stages. Even if you're really experienced, introducing a power wing into that environment is an absolute no-go in the early stages. So look for something flat. We want something that's got constant wind. A nice predictable wind is really important. And just try and cherry pick those early stages. I know you're going to be excited to get out on the water, but try and look for that 15 to 20 knots, flat water, nice safe environment for the first few sessions. So let's talk through actually launching for the first time. So you can see I've got the leading edge on this one. It's really easily distinguishable by its white as opposed to the red. So I'm holding it at about sort of halfway along on both sides. And so I've kind of got the middle right in the center of my body, and I'm holding the left and right. Now you can see it's almost wanting to fly at this, and this is how I launch it. So I've seen a lot of mistakes. I'll show you the mistake first of all, people just throwing it out or trying to launch it on the water. Both of those will be unsuccessful, particularly in the early stages. So what I recommend is to launching it on that first time is, as I said, hold it in that sort of 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock position, just pinching it with 2 fingers, and then just let it fly out when the gust comes, and you'll see it will just launch up quite happily. And that's how you launch it for the first few times. In terms of getting rid of it, this is a little bit advanced, but you will use this when you're on the beach as well. I say the first one is to use the A lines or the leading lines, and all you're doing is grabbing all of them and then just working your way to the leading edge. It's really important that you get the full canopy. If you stop about 3/4 of the way, this leading edge is going to fill with air, and it's just going to start spinning around. So you want to get as much of the material, cloth the fingers, as possible. Once you're in this stage, then what I do is concertina that leading edge. So it's in a nice organized bundle. I then put the bar next to it, and then I control the lines. Remembering this is all happening whilst I'm downwinding. Once I'm in this stage like this, it's now controlled. I can concentrate on downwinding, getting a good position, and then I can just fold it up. If you want a full tutorial on this, I call this the rat bag technique, because Dan from Foil Rat, he has got a really good tutorial on how to do this. He came up with this method. Highly recommend checking out his video for a full tutorial on that. Okay, I am acutely aware that there is a lot of information here and it's very difficult to compress that into one video, but the 3 key takeaways for me, for anybody getting into the sport, is first of all, the power wing itself. We're looking for a modern one of the new generation 4 meter. In terms of the board, we're looking for a mid-length, just a little bit more volume than your body weight, not too skinny. And for the foil, we want something easy to use. The S series is perfect for that. And go a little bit bigger than you're used to. Those, I think, are the 3 key points, key takeaways for getting into the sport.